All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live a lot later than I thought I was going to be live, but had a couple things going on today. It's all good though. I said I was going to go live, so let's do it. Steeler talk. Um, I should have put a community post out earlier, but that's fine. All right, so the 2024 season for the Steelers. How was it? Let's recap the entire thing. All right, so we had two different quarterbacks, which I guess is a step up from last season, right? You didn't have a trio of quarterbacks starting. You had two. You had um Justin Fields to start off the first 6 weeks, and then you had Russell Wilson for the remainder of the season. Both quarterbacks showed flashes. Russell Wilson looked pretty damn good in his first couple starts, and then something changed. I don't know if it was just the team that they were playing. I don't know if it was just something else going on. We'll get into all of that. All right, because there's a lot of things to talk about. But what was it exactly? Okay, there's speculation going around now that there was some beef between Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson. They never really saw eye to eye, which I thought was very interesting. Um, it was said that Arthur Smith preferred Justin Fields over Russell Wilson, so that's interesting as well. And Tomlin wasn't really having it. He thought, "Hey, man, Russ is the guy. Russ is the guy we're gonna go with, and that's our decision." So there was whole speculation there. There's even some talk saying that wherever Arthur Smith goes, that's where Justin Fields is gonna go, and vice versa. Okay, because Arthur Smith has had head coaching uh, interviews, right? Interviews to be a head coach. I don't know if he's gonna go anywhere in the league. There's talks about people wanting Arthur Smith out of Pittsburgh, no longer as the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. Which, I mean, to be real, I don't really know if he's that much of a problem. I don't think he's that much of a problem for the Steelers. I don't think his play calling is great, Arthur Smith, but he could definitely be better. Okay, but it's not terrible. His play calling isn't terrible. It's a step up from Matt Canada. I think it's a step from Fink. I think him and Todd Haley are a little bit close to each other as far as play calling wise, but at the end of the day, he's not a terrible. He's not. I don't like the pitch plays that he makes, but there are times where he's really good, where he makes really good play calls. I guess the bad ones outshine the good ones because when it's bad. Okay, so if we keep Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, I'm not completely against it. The series have definitely had worse offensive coordinators. All right, so everybody's talking about new offensive line coach, which I'm fine with. Offensive line has been a problem for years, and I mean years. I think the last time the Steelers had a good offensive line was in 29 no, not 2019. 2018. That was the last time the Steelers had a really good offensive line. Since then, the offensive line has just been either bad or mediocre. At mediocre at best. Okay? So maybe that's something that needs to get situated. The offensive line coach. All right. Even defensive coordinator. A lot of people don't like the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. Yeah, I'm not completely against that either. There's a lot of flaws in the coaching. There is. And I don't know if it's gonna get changed, but one thing that we've been talking about is there's been changes with offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, left and right. I mean, what we're at the fourth offensive coordinator in 10 years? Something like that. Mike Tomlin has been the head coach for all of them. And I got a lot to say about Mike Tomlin. So, yes, coaching offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, that is a bit of a problem. That is a fraction of the problem. Okay. But let me talk about some of these stats that I've seen. Okay. So since 2021, the Steelers' overall record, this is including regular season and postseason, their overall record since 2021, 38 wins, 32 losses with a tie. Their point differential is negative 129. So they are being outscored by far, by the way. I don't even know how that's possible, but that record is the definition of being just middle of the pack. Just mid, really. That's what the Steelers have been for the most part. And let's see, I got other stuff too. Okay, so the Steelers have had multiple late season collapses. Okay, you have this season, you have 2018, you have 2019. Yes, 2019 was a collapse. They were 8-5 and they wound up losing the last 3 games. One of those games was to the Jets, which the Jets were pretty terrible that year if I remember correctly. Okay, so you have 2024. If you want to throw in last year as well, 2023, they were 7-4, wound up going 7-7. And then 2020, that was notorious. There's so many late season collapses. 2012, 2009, 2007. It's just I don't know what it is with late season collapses, but that's really where it all comes down to. We talk about character issues with players. Um, it's a cultural thing. Tomlin is there for to keep the culture good. Well, has the culture even been good in the store locker room? No, it hasn't. Okay, you had the stuff with Antonio Brown. That didn't work out. You had the stuff recently with Deontay Johnson, but I guess we've now learned that Deontay Johnson, he's just a bit of a cancer in a locker room. Even Juju, guys like Juju Smith-Schuster was I wouldn't say cancer, but just the way he was going about business in 2020, it upsetted a lot of opposing teams. That didn't work out. Le'Veon Bell, that didn't work out. There's so many player issues that have happened under Mike Tomlin. Now you have the situation with George Pickens, which I I don't think there's a lot I have to say about George Pickens. All right, so look, he was interviewed after the game on Saturday night, right? And he was asking, or they were asking him, did the has the team grown since your rookie year? Have you seen improvement since your rookie year, since you got here? And he was saying, yeah, very nonchalantly. And then the last question was, well, are you optimistic about going forward with this offense? He said no. He said no. Okay. I'm starting to think that even the players are not very confident in something. I don't know if it's the head coach. There's something about the culture right now that the players are not trusting. That's why I feel like they're playing the way they played, especially the last 2 weeks, where it was just like they're just kind of there. There's something wrong with the culture right now, specifically right now. Okay, there's been something wrong with the culture for quite some time, but right now there's something like completely off, and it's not just one player that's acting crazy. Okay, or I shouldn't say crazy, but I hope you get what I mean. That's not that is underperforming because something else isn't right, is what I should say. Okay, so there's talks about trading George Pickens. I'm not completely against it. I'm not completely for it either. I mean, yes, has he been late to practice? Yes. There's been things that have been going on with George Pickens that, you know, why I would agree with trading him. If you're going to trade him, it has to be now. It has to be this offseason. He's going to be in his last contract on his rookie season. Whether he plays the following season, you're gonna either have to extend him or franchise tag him, which I don't think they extend him to a long-term deal. I just don't see that, especially now with all the drama brewing. It's looking more like they're gonna trade him. So, hey man, if they trade Pickens, it all just depends on what you get. If you could get a second rounder, that'd be really nice. I don't really know what his stock is, but his stock is gonna be at its highest right now in the off season. So if you're gonna trade George Pickens, it has to be in the off season. Okay, you don't want to trade him mid-season or anything like that. All right, but back to the Tomlin situation. I They're not gonna trade him. They're not gonna get rid of him. They're not gonna release him. Nothing like that. Okay, so I mean, it is what it is. That's just how That's just how it is. The Steelers typically like their coaches or even players who have been there for a long time finish out their contracts, for a loyalty thing. And in this case, they extended Tomlin. He's going to be head coach to what, 2027, 2028? So, yeah, I don't think he goes anywhere. Do I think he should go somewhere? I wouldn't be against it. I don't think it's crazy to say, like, to trade him or something like that, because you're just in the same cycle. You're not moving anywhere. Yes, I get it. The Steelers are not bad. They are not the Cleveland Browns. They are not the um, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. They're not that bad. They're good. They're a decent team. But the problem is they've been good slash decent for the past 7 years or so. Okay, and when you're in the middle of the pack, there's no real way to get out of it, especially when you're in the middle of the pack for that long. When you play every time the Steelers play uh, a really good team, a superior team, a top team in the NFL, the top team handles them. And we saw it week after week this season. Okay, first with the Eagles, then with the Ravens, then with the Chiefs, and then with the Ravens again. All right, they lost to every single good team that they played, with the exception of the Commanders. But then again, it's not like the Commanders were at the top of their game either when they played. They didn't have Lattimore yet. Their defense wasn't as good as it is now for Washington. So, if you want to put a little bit of an asterisk there, I guess you can. But clearly, there are changes that need to be made within the coaching staff, and that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. They say that there's going to be changes, but is it going to be the necessary changes? I don't think so. New defensive coordinator would be nice, but we'll see how the Steelers how they do with that. Okay, we got the Russell Wilson stuff. Okay, quarterback situation. This is another hot topic once again. All right, who should be the quarterback for the Steelers next season? Well, you got guys being thrown in there like Aaron Rodgers, Chains, Kirk Cousins. You got some crazy names being thrown out there. Russell Wilson being thrown out there again. There's big names, don't get me wrong. Big names that are being thrown out there. But these are aging quarterbacks. We saw where Kirk Cousins this year already. Okay, he came off a major injury. And yeah, he looked good for a little bit. Okay, he never played like super great. I don't think he ever played to the caliber of what the Falcons thought that he would. I mean, he played what? I think his best game was against the Buccaneers on that Thursday nighter. But other than that, I mean, he wasn't really turning heads or anything. So I don't understand why the Steelers would get Kirk Cousins. I don't even know how that's a rumor. I don't know if people are just making that up. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this year, did he not show that he's just completely over the hill? Okay, he got everything he wanted pretty much this season. He got almost everything he wanted this season, and the Jets majorly underperformed. So you're gonna go out and get Aaron Rodgers for what? For what? And To be real, it's not like the Steelers. Yeah, they don't have a terrible roster, but they don't have the roster. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers can't be a successful quarterback. I mean, in the right system, he could. The Steelers are not the right system for him. Okay, you still don't know how good the offensive line is. Why are you going to put an aging quarterback behind that offensive line? That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, his mobility isn't there anymore. I mean, we already saw it with Russell Wilson. His mobility isn't there either. Okay, so I'm not for getting a, a quarterback in free agency. The only guy that makes I haven't heard Derek Carr, which that one I could kind of understand. Derek Carr I could kind of understand a little bit, but in my opinion, the best option is got to be Justin Fields. It's got to be Justin Fields, and a lot of Steeler Nation thinks that way as well. Okay, for one, he knows your offense already. Hopefully, you keep Arthur Smith. I'm telling you, I don't think Arthur Smith is that much of a problem. I don't love his offensive play calling, but I don't think he's the main problem why the offense has been struggling. I don't think he has been. Okay? Because from what we understand from what the media has been saying is Arthur Smith wanted Justin Fields as a starter. He wanted Justin he had a relationship with Justin Fields. He didn't have that with Russell Wilson. So that's the best quarterback to get if you're the Steelers, if you're going to go free agency. Okay, there are other things you could do. You could try to draft a quarterback, but you're going to have to trade up. You're going to have to give up something to trade up for a quarterback in the draft. But right now, I think the best option is Justin Fields. He he didn't look great. Okay, he didn't look great in the 6 games that he played, but he was also evolving. Heck, he got benched after arguably the best game he had against the Raiders. And I get it. It was against the Raiders. Everybody was kind of just beating up on the Raiders this season. But you were seeing progression in the offense. They didn't hit a wall like the offense did under Russell Wilson. And that's not throwing shade at Russell Wilson. Okay, he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. And yes, like Aaron Rodgers, well, okay, I think Russell Wilson right now is better than Aaron Rodgers, like today. Okay, and their primes is a different story. But Russell Wilson, I think, in the right system for sure, can do something, can make a push in the playoffs. Like if he's with the San Francisco 49ers, when they don't get injured, right? I think he could do something pretty well. It just depends on the system. But again, the Steelers aren't that system for them. It was kind of a waste of a season. Now we're going to be in a rebuild season. I think the Steelers should just be in a rebuild season. I think that benefits the team a heck of a lot more because they've never truly had a rebuild season, and heck, they've been 10-7. They've been just slightly above 500. It's either you just miss the playoffs or you barely make the playoffs just to lose in the first round. So they're always what, the 20th pick, 19th pick, 21st, 22nd. You're not going to get much there. But all this other talk with the quarterbacks, um, Colin Cowherd, that's who said it, right? Said that what the Steelers should do is trade TJ Watt and George Pickens for 2 first round picks to try to get Shador Sanders. Now, I don't know I'm gonna be real with you. I think he's just trying to get a reaction out of the people he's gonna say, or he knows that people are gonna go crazy on that. Maybe that's why he said it. But I really hope that's how he thinks, man. Come on. Really? You're gonna trade away your franchise player, who's been your best player for since he's been on the team. You're gonna get rid of him and George Pick, up and coming receiver. Yes, I get 2 first round for a quarterback that hasn't even been at. And if the Steelers do that, oh, generational talent. You hear people praise Shador Sanders, but you don't hear him say that he's a generational talent. I do think that he could be a pretty good quarterback in the league, though. That's all I'm gonna say there. I mean, I think Shador. It would be pretty cool to have Shador Sanders on the team, but I don't think that's gonna happen. There's a lot of people saying that the Steelers should tank for Arch Manning. That'd be interesting. Him in the Steel City. But yeah, your best option by far is Justin Fields. Is a buzz. I don't know what made him say that. I truly think the reason why he said that was just to get a reaction out of the people. Is gonna get views. I think that's the reason why uh Colin said that. That's the only reasonable take for me because I two first rounders as well. Not only your best player, another receiver, two first rounders for Shador Sanders. That doesn't make any sense. Come on, man. Come on, man. All right. So then the wide receiver position. You have this whole thing if you do trade George Pickens, where do you go from there? The wide receiver room is not very good. It is below the standard, if you will. All right. George Pickens is the wide receiver one. Who's even the wide receiver two? Calvin Austin? Is it Roman Wilson? Roman Wilson hasn't even touched the field. Well, he technically did for like a two plays when they played the Raiders. We still don't know how good Roman Wilson is. So if you trade George Pickens, now the problem is, what are you going to do at the wide receiver spot? Okay, because it's already a big question as it is now with George Pickens on the roster. Okay, people are saying that you need another star with George Pickens. So what are you going to do without him? Are you going to try to get a veteran receiver like T. Higgins? Are you going to try to get I forgot the other um veteran receivers on the market this offseason, but are you going to try to draft a receiver? I don't know. I don't know. That's another big question mark if you do that with George Pickens. So there's a lot to think about. Honestly, I don't know any great receivers um coming into the draft. I mean, that's my fault though. I haven't kept up with it too much, but yeah, man, that should be pretty interesting. All right. Now let's talk Steelers MVP of the season. Something good. Something good. Enough with all this negativity. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? Who's going to be the wide receiver one? Is Tomlin the guy for the Steelers as the head coach? All right. Let's talk into some real good stuff for the Steelers. Who was the MVP? MVP. Did I say N? MVP. Unanimously for me, it is by far Chris Boswell. Now, why is it Chris Boswell? Why is it not TJ Watt? Why is it not Cam Hayward? Why is it not anybody else? It is Chris Boswell because he quite literally won the Steelers games this season. Now, there's a difference between helping your team win games, between um getting the game-winning field goal for your team than it is to literally win a game for your team. Boswell did that twice. He did that two times. So, I mean, he was very accurate this season. He was not perfect on the season. Okay, he wasn't. He missed what, like two field goals? But come on, man. Honestly, if I'm being real, Boswell might actually get his jersey retired when he retires. Okay, he has been the most consistently good player for the Steelers since he's been a, been in the Steel City. So I give major credit to Chris Boswell. I mean, man, it just seems like he's getting better and better. It really does. He had that one bad season in 2018. Since then, man, he's been Mr. Automatic once again. Mr. Automatic once again. And another thing that is worth noting is that it is hard to kick in Pittsburgh. At Heinz Field, that is a tough place to kick. So for him to be that accurate, for his home field to be Heinz Field, that's impressive in of itself. And one of the games that he won for the Steelers was there too. So shout out Chris Boswell, most definitely the Steelers MVP of the season, which is weird that it's a kicker, but hey man, I gotta give credit where credit's due. I gotta give me a Boswell jersey. I gotta give me a Boswell jersey too, man. Straight legend. All right, so what's next for the Steelers? What do I think they should do? Um, I think they need a whole culture change. I do. It could that might even start with the head coach. I think it should start from the top. I think that the Steelers, it's more beneficial to focus on the future than to focus on now. And I don't want to say that. I think it's just a tough situation, man. It's a tough situation. Maybe you do have to trade stars like Mika Fitzpatrick. Maybe you do have to trade some of your stars away for some draft capital. Okay? I'm gonna be real. I don't know who's the best head coach for the job, which is why I'm hesitant to say, oh, they should get rid of Mike Tomlin like that, because I really don't know who would be the next best guy. I mean, I thought Vrabel would have been a really good replacement for Tomlin. Vrabel's on the Patriots now, which how dare the Patriots get another good head coach? How dare they? Oh, the Patriots are going to be back. Just watch. Those Patriots are going to be back. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the next year or maybe the year after that, but they're going to be back. They're going to be back. They're going to be really good again. So that's why I'm contemplating whether or not I should completely say give it a Tomlin, because I mean, who I don't know exactly who they're going to go with. Okay. 18 mil is too much to pay Minka. Yeah, I mean, he underperformed this year. He underperformed this year. And a lot of people did underperform. Even TJ Watt, he kind of hit a bit of a slump towards the end of the season. But I mean, the whole team did. The whole team hit a slump at the end of the season. Even Patrick Queen, he didn't play the way he played with the Ravens, if that makes sense. He wasn't the player that we signed him to be. He wasn't terrible, but for the amount he's getting paid, yeah, no, he hasn't been worth it. And there's even been talks of should the Steelers cut Patrick Queen. Um, I think we should give him another year. I think the Steelers should give him another year. One slump isn't too bad. Slump of a year, it happens. Like I just said, Chris Boswell had a slump of a year. He came back being Mr. Reliable. So I'd give Patrick Queen benefit of the doubt a little bit, but I wouldn't be too the green dot. You know what, man? I There's a lot that they need to change up. But is change gonna happen? No. No. I'm just being real here. I'm not being negative. But I think they should get a completely new slate. Okay. Whatever star players you have, I mean, you might want to check in with some of them. Even if it's TJ, if TJ, it's gonna suck, man. It's gonna suck if they had to do it. But I think that's necessary because on the real, I don't think they win a Super Bowl with the coaching staff that they have or with the team that they have. The team, everybody says that the team is not very good, that the team's not very talented. I believe the talent is there. Maybe not to win a Super Bowl, but to at least win a playoff game. You know, I don't think they've utilized the talent. I think that's the real problem. The coaching staff didn't utilize the talent that they had this season. I mean, come on. You had the same record, the same result that you did last season. And last season was supposed to be one of the worst quarterback rooms. Okay? But what do you guys think? Should the Steelers re-sign Russell Wilson? I don't think they should, unless he's going to be a backup to Justin Fields. Okay? I I like Russell Wilson. I think he'd be a really quality backup. But for him to be a starter, at least for the Steelers, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I mean, it didn't work. We saw it. But I would be interested to see what Justin Fields could do, as I'm sure a lot of Steeler Nation feels the same way. Other than that, that's really all I got to say, man. Went over a little bit on how the culture has been George Pickens being late to the Christmas game. Oh, I'll end it off on a good note. I'll end this live off on a good note because there's not much good to say about the Steelers right now. Russ won't sign to be a backup. Yeah, no, he won't. He won't. I mean, it's not really much else for him to go. I I think he might be forced to maybe retire. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some team out there that's going to want him. I'm sure of it. One of these teams are going to give him a chance, but it's not going to be a team that's going to be contending. At least I don't think so. But we'll see. Okay, let's end this off on a positive. All right. Did you guys hear that? I think yesterday or Wednesday, that in Mexico they opened up a Steelers themed KFC. That's something, right? It has it's decked out in Steeler memorabilia and everything. That's pretty cool. And I think one of these days, one of these seasons, we're gonna get a Steeler game out there down in Mexico, which I'm all for it. I know they're trying to push for one in Ireland, and that's what it seems like the Steelers gonna be going next season. Tennessee would take Russ. Mm, okay, they might to help develop whoever they got. Time to get the passport ready. Yeah, man. Hey, go down to Mexico. It has to happen. It has to happen. They have way too big of a fan base to pass that up down there, which I didn't even know they had that big of a fan base down there in Mexico. But from the sounds of it, it's one of the most popular teams out there. You gotta have a game out down there at some point, man. Whether it be this season or next season. I mean, that'd be cool. But it seems like they're gonna go to Ireland because I guess that's like the main team that out there. So we'll see, man. That'd be cool. If they go, it'd be cool to go, and it'd be cool to go to that KFC. All right, I like KFC. They didn't say exactly where it's at. I don't know if it's in Mexico City. I don't know exactly where. It didn't say the city. It just said the country. Well, he'll never live this. No, no. Yeah, he'll land a job. But it's just not gonna be where he would want because he wants to be in a contending team. The only way he's gonna be in a contending team is if he's the backup, which I don't think he's gonna be willing to be a backup. Because he said it himself. He feels like he still has a lot of gas in the tank. So if you feel like you have a lot of gas in the tank, you're not gonna want to sit behind a quarterback. A place like Tennessee would actually be beneficial for him. Even beneficial for whoever their quarterback's going to be, Shador Sanders, uh, Ward, whoever it is, whoever the rookie quarterback is, whoever drafts quarterback this season or for next season. That would be a good landing spot for Wilson if they don't plan on starting that quarterback immediately. But I just don't see it happening. But that's really all I got on this one. I think the source is just to stick with Fields. Okay. Boswell, by far the MVP. Shout out Chris Boswell. And we'll see. There's a lot of offseason stuff, a lot of offseason shenanigans that we will most definitely cover when it happens. Okay. I'm expecting something to happen because something needs to happen this offseason. Okay. You can't go as an organization, you can't be satisfied with the season that you just had. That was one of the worst collapses I've seen as Steeler fans. Okay? Some say that this is the worst. I mean, 2020 was pretty terrible. 2018 was pretty terrible. Okay. So I'm not going to say that this is the worst. It feels like the worst because it's the most recent. But that's all I got for this one, man. I did go a lot later than I thought I was going to go on, but I'll catch you guys hopefully tomorrow, man. I will be live for the game, the Texans versus the Chiefs at 1:30. So I'll see you guys there. I'll be live for that one, calling the game. And as for this one, guys, I'm out. You guys have a good night.